Welcome, everyone. Today we'll discuss how insulin resistance contributes to coronary artery disease and why newer evidence challenges some of the older beliefs about dietary fat and cholesterol. This presentation is designed to explain the science in clear, practical terms. I'll quickly review insulin resistance. You can see one of my earlier videos that explains it in more depth. Insulin is a hormone that helps move glucose into the cells. In insulin resistance, the body needs more and more insulin to do the same job. Many people have insulin resistance for years before it shows up as diseases like diabetes. Coronary artery disease is not simply cholesterol sticking to arteries. It's a complex inflammatory process that triggers the immune system's inflammatory response. Insulin resistance affects blood vessels directly and contributes to the environment where plaque develops and arteries stiffen. The plaque can build up in the artery and cause it to narrow where not enough blood gets to the heart or brain, causing angina or cell death. The other mechanism is that a clot as part of the plaque can break off and block an artery to the heart or brain, causing heart attack or stroke. The original dietary fat hypothesis was based partly on observational data and early flawed studies. Over time, many experts began questioning whether the focus on lowering dietary fat oversimplified cardiovascular disease because rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and coronary artery disease continued to rise in spite of these low-fat diets. Recent evidence points to the true cause of coronary artery disease, which is high insulin. Dietary cholesterol has been found to only minimally affect cholesterol because it's tightly regulated by the body in the liver and will make less of it if more is consumed through the diet and make more of it if there is not enough in the diet. Modern nutrition science looks more at food quality and metabolic effects rather than simply counting grams of fat. Whole foods tend to have very different effects than ultra-processed foods on insulin. Dietary protein and fat do not spike insulin, and so eating more of these foods lowers insulin and corrects insulin resistance. Seed, soy, and vegetable oils are highly processed and highly inflammatory and should be avoided. This is important. LDL is not irrelevant, but even more important is a lipoprotein called ApoB. ApoB is an indicator of how many disease-causing particles are present in the blood. But the full picture includes insulin resistance, inflammation, triglycerides, HDL, and more importantly, particle characteristics. LDL particles can be heavy and dense. They are not carried along in the bloodstream easily and sink to the bottom of the vessel and cause disease. Large LDL particles are described as light and fluffy or like beach balls floating along in the blood. They do not sink to the bottom of the vessel and cause disease. It's important to discern the particle characteristic in conjunction with the ApoB and insulin resistance to know about cardiovascular health. Evidence suggests low carbohydrate diets can significantly improve markers of insulin resistance. You can see in the graphic that carbohydrates cause insulin to spike, where protein causes a minimal elevation and fat causes no elevation. It's important also that simple carbohydrates and sugar spike insulin more than carbohydrates with a lot of fiber, so real foods. Some people on low carbohydrate diets experience higher LDL levels, which should be monitored and interpreted in context with fasting insulin levels, apolipoprotein B, and triglyceride to HDL ratio, which helps to differentiate the dense particles from the larger buoyant particles. The evidence for metabolic improvements with carbohydrate reduction is strong. The long-term effects on cardiovascular events continue to be studied, and patient-specific risk assessment remains important. Metabolic health is about more than weight loss. It's about normalizing insulin through sustainable nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress management. All of these lifestyle areas improve insulin sensitivity and cardiovascular risk. Reduce refined carbohydrates and sugary foods. Make fat and protein a priority. Consume non-starchy vegetables. Thank you for listening. The goal is not to replace one dogma with another, but to help people understand metabolic health and use evidence-based strategies to reduce cardiovascular risk. We now know that insulin resistance plays a major role in coronary artery disease. Fat is not our enemy and can be healing. Low carbohydrate, real food approaches improve cardiometabolic health. If you want more support with your lifestyle journey, please visit my website, vesna.docmanovichwellnessclinic.com, or my school community. Please join me next week when I discuss the role of insulin resistance in mental health problems and dementia.